Coming up, we have stories about paternity test, inheritance, and greediness. Wedding photographer behind the scenes. Mother-in-law drama won't allow anyone to see baby until she gets back. Does she have a vote? Taking niece to see her mother while she's in prison. Affair partners and babies stepping up to help out with the grandkids. This is gonna be fun. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from Am I Wrong? And is titled, Am I wrong for telling my husband the only way I will agree to a paternity test is if he schedules it? I, 30, have been married to my husband, 36 male, for 5 years. I'm currently 4 months pregnant. This wasn't a surprise pregnancy. We planned it and actively tried to get pregnant. So it came out of left field when a few weeks ago my husband told me he wanted a paternity test. I asked him how he or why he thinks I am cheating on him. He said he didn't think I was. But that makes absolutely no sense. Okay, agreed, OP. I asked him to explain how this child could not be his if the only person I slept with and I didn't cheat on him. He had no answer for that. I was a mess for a few days afterward. Once I calmed down, I told him that if he wanted to get the test, then he could schedule it and tell me where and when to be there. He asked me if I could be the one to make the appointment. I told him no. He is the one questioning the paternity, so he can make the appointment. He tried explaining again that he wasn't questioning paternity, he just wants to have reassurance. I told him I don't care anymore about his explanations, but if he wants to have reassurance, he can do the legwork. He asked if I could at least find a number for him to call, and I told him no. Can you do anything on your own, bro? Is there anything you can do? You're even questioning your ability to make a baby. Can't look up a phone number? I still have no idea why he thinks I'm that kind of person. I haven't done anything to betray his trust, but it has been at least a week and he hasn't made any appointment. And the last time I asked, he told me he was working on it. It takes 30 seconds. So what exactly are you working on? His sister came over this morning after he left for work and told me that she was told everything and that I just need to put him out of his misery and do the test. I told her I would take the test. He just had to schedule it. She told me I was being bitchy for not just making the appointment myself. Bitch, you coming to my house and support the man who says he's not questioning paternity. He's just questioning paternity, but is too lazy to do the legwork to Google a number and call it? Out! Out! Put the cookie down. You don't get to finish the cookie. You leave. But I'm not the one who's questioning who the baby's father is. I don't think I should have to make the appointment, but I want to get an impartial opinion before he comes home today. Edit. Thanks, everyone. You have given me a lot to think about. I honestly don't think he's cheating or anything. I'm 100% not getting an abortion, but I'm thinking I'm not going to be a stay-at-home mom anymore like I planned. I'm going to tell him to get the test scheduled or never bring it up to me again. Good job, OP. Except, this is left open-ended. There's no resolution here. Schedule it or don't ever bring it up again. That is not closure. That is not a resolution. That is nothing. That is just like what? No, OP. Okay, first of all, NTA. Yes, the majority of people were absolutely correct on this. This is NTA. Brozo, dipshit, ask on one, hubby has lost his damn mind. There is a freak out that can happen with child number one. It is not I don't think the child's mind freak out. It's just a general freak out. This could be how he's channeling it, which is not okay. Not okay at all. But OP, this is not the kind of thing you can just sweep under the rug. It's not the kind of thing that you can just say, never bring it up again. We're going to pretend like this didn't happen. No, you have to get to the root of this bullshit before you go another day with this bullshit. How can you? Maybe it's just one baby step at a time. Maybe that's where she's at. Maybe it's just like the only step right now is for him to never bring it up again, which isn't going to happen. You know this isn't going to happen. You know he's going to bring it up again, but every time he brings it up, he's taking a step back. And if he brings it up enough times, he's gone. I think this might be the most cowardly way to eject out of being a parent that I have ever seen. Dude can't even call. Dude can't even schedule the appointment. Since his sis is the one who said something too, probably coming from his mom. You're right. There's somebody is chirping in his ear, and I heard a lot of comments about sister-in-law's got to be chirping in his ear. Mom is probably a force there too, but he says he's not questioning paternity. He just wants to put it to rest. It absolutely could and is likely that it is mom who's like, "Are you sure that baby is yours? I mean, how sure are you really? Were you inside when that egg was fertilized? Did you check the ID on that sperm? Who's to say? She could have been walking down the street on a windy day and oops, another one entered her body. It may not be your baby. I only want what's best for you." Bitch! 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 Get out! Do not give them any sweet tea. That's only for the good people. NTA, you have a big mess to figure out here, but you got to have the conversation with him. You have to get to the root of this thing or there is no resolution. And I don't want a future for you where you have to there's nothing wrong with being a single parent and you are perfectly capable of being perfectly happy without this brozo douche canoe. But if you can unwind this and figure out that it's just his mommy manipulating him, and yes, he's allowing it to happen, which means he deserves a little bit of slapping around verbally, but he's going to have a penance for that. But if you can backtrack this and help him realize what the hell's going on, if he shows remorse and regret and he's willing to do the work to make up for it and turn the ship around, having that opportunity would be great and could lead to the kind of future that you saw for yourself, and then your whole world wouldn't change and turn upside down. That is a big if, but it's possible. My male 24 girlfriend, female 25 inheritance is changing her and making our relationship worse. Posting from throwaway because I don't want my girlfriend to see that I'm seeking advice if she ever checks out my main account. My girlfriend's parents are divorced and her father passed away at the end of last year. She was his only child, so she inherited most of his assets, which was a lot because her father was a wealthy man, at least to my standards. The problem started after she took care of all the formalities regarding the inheritance. We moved in together, which made me happy because we've been together for 4 years already. At first, I thought that the apartment we moved into was the only one she inherited because we didn't speak much about her father's fortune. But it turned out that it was just one of 5 apartments that she inherited. I asked her why she would withhold this information from me, and she told me that she hasn't thought that this will be so important and decided to either sell or rent the rest of the apartments. It made me feel kind of uneasy. If we are together for so long and we both decided to move in together, then shouldn't we both discuss and choose which apartment to move into? She apologized though, so I left it at that, but it didn't end there. I later learned that she also inherited a house that she sold without consulting me. How dare she? This woman who you've been dating for 4 years. She argued that she wanted to give the money to her mom so she could live comfortably. But I don't believe that anyone would just sell a freaking house to give money to someone else. That's pure BS. Another thing that is making me confused is how she just doesn't want to share. Her father left a car and lots of electronics, like a MacBook, and she just claimed it without even asking if I need a new laptop or something. There's a lot more to read here, but I'm going to go ahead and do this. And we're going to go red alert mode here. I'm not expecting her to not use her inheritance, but we've been together for 4 years. She knows that I was thinking about buying a new laptop. It would be nice if she at least asked. I also thought that she would at least let me drive the new car, but she just started to brag about how it's her first car, etc. She's not even driving it because she prefers to take a bus or walk most places. She also wants to split bills evenly, even though I know she has a lot more money now, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't even need my share of payment. So a lot of guys have this thing where it's like, or a lot of people have this thing where it's like, I don't want to feel less than, so I'm going to pay my share no matter what the other person has. This guy doesn't have that problem. Not a shred of it. I asked her about it, and she actually got kind of mad at me this time. Told me that we are not married or anything, and that I shouldn't just expect her to give her whole inheritance to me. So yeah, just usual over-emotional woman BS, because that's not what I asked for at all. I wonder if like gaping should be one of our additions to like Ask on One. This guy's a gaping asshole. He's a bigot. He's a biggin. I told her that I just feel left out because she's deciding what to do with the apartments herself, and then she's just claiming the car and the MacBook. Well, I'm here too. She just doesn't want to understand. She actually argued that this is exactly why she never told me about her father's wealth, as if I was some kind of gold digger or something. Clutches pearls. How to make her realize that her selfishness may break us apart? I feel like it's harder and harder for me to commit when I know that there are people out there who would be way more caring in a relationship than she is. I was thinking about suggesting a couples therapy because I love her and don't want to break up, but she has to realize that she's not alone and I should be involved in the decisions that she's making. OP posted a separate post to ask for more advice. Before we get into that though, what the This guy's worldview is jacked. Sir, I hate to be the one to break it to you, and I'm sure Reddit commenters already tore you a new gaping one, but you don't have any kind of claim to her inheritance or anything else that she owns because you're just dating. And even if you were married, you wouldn't have a claim to her inheritance. And you're behaving like a gold digger. So you, clutching your pearls, offended that she made a statement that you felt like was insinuating you were a gold digger? Maybe a little bit of guilt creeping through there. I don't know if this is a play or if he's really just this ignorant. Either way, it's not okay. She lost her father. She's going through the embroilment of having to deal with all the paperwork and getting all the estate settled and all that bullshit. And I'm sure that's not easy, but the whole time, the only thing he cares about is like, why wasn't I involved in the decision to sell the house? Because it doesn't involve you, dick. Simple answer. All right. Where did you find this guy? OP's girlfriend. Where did you find him? Okay, OP posted a separate post to ask for more advice. Will I be the astronaut if I report my girlfriend's mother for tax evasion? 3 months ago. A month later. From what I understood, monetary gifts are considered income in certain cases, if the tax wasn't paid already by the one who gifted the money, for example. My girlfriend paid inheritance tax, but I don't think it's the same as income tax. I would need to consult a lawyer on this. I believe that the exact amount of the gift is way above the taxable threshold, as it was the money for my girlfriend's father's house, which was a lot. I'm not sure, but I know my mother-in-law. She believes that I'm after my girlfriend's money and inheritance. I caught her telling my girlfriend that I'm not worthy, greedy, and a gold digger. She's projecting her own wrongdoings on me. Oh my, it's just ignorant. This is not malicious. It's just ignorant. Okay. She's projecting her own wrongdoings on me. It's important to me because my girlfriend is naive and she believes that she did the right thing. I don't think she did. Key comments from original OP. We've been together for 4 years already. She agreed to come to a couples therapy because she changed completely after inheriting her father's fortune and became selfish. She will realize that I'm doing the right thing. My girlfriend pays the bigger portion of our bills. We moved into one of her father's apartments, and since she has way more money than me now, we agreed not so long ago that she would pay for it. She has some problems with being selfish with her inheritance. For example, how she kept in secret exactly how much her father has left her and how she sold most of it already. In most cases, men who earn more and have more assets have no problem with their women living comfortably. So why does everyone want me to feel bad? We've been together for 4 years. She has more money now, way more. It's only natural that she pays more. You can't bully me into believing otherwise. Update! My girlfriend gave me an ultimatum after my request to change our therapist due to them both ganging up on me during our sessions. Posted yesterday. Wow. You can't bully me into believing otherwise. Then why are you posting asking for advice? This is not an advice-seeking thing. This is validation. And apparently, he had enough people validate him to keep this bullshit charade going. We, as in me and my girlfriend, started couples therapy a few months ago. Our relationship went through a rough patch. We were both at fault and decided to work on it instead of calling it quits. Well, there's a change in tone, because up to this point, everything had been her fault. He was right, and she would see it. Our therapist is a very renowned one, so I had high hopes for this. The first few meetings went well, but then he started to be weirdly invested in our relationship. After those first few meetings, I think 2 or 3, I don't remember, he suggested that we both need separate therapy with different specialists to work on ourselves and not just focus on our relationship. I refused, as I see no reason to go into therapy myself. We went just for couples counseling anyway. But as I said, he grew overly interested, especially in my girlfriend's well-being, as he put it, and brought up individual therapy each time we went. I wanted to change our therapist, but my girlfriend was really against the idea, to the point of being mad at me for even suggesting it, which I also found weird. She eventually started her individual therapy per his suggestion. It's been a month. She's going to see her therapist every week, while we go to our therapist for couples counseling at least once a month, and I just want to say, she changed. Not in a good way, actually. She started to be more nitpicky, argumentative, accusatory even. She would pick a fight over something, then bring it up in our session, have our therapist agree with her, and then they both gang up on me. The most recent example is from a week ago when I finally had enough. We had a mutual agreement about our living situation. We split bills unevenly, which means she pays more since she has more money than me anyway. It was never a problem for her before, but suddenly it is. And then our therapist is like, it's unfair, burdensome, etc. So I told my girlfriend that either we change our therapist or I don't want to go, to which she replies that either we go to this therapist or we break up. I think breaking up over my request is a huge overreaction, but she refuses to even have a normal discussion with me, saying things like, eye for an eye, ultimatum for an ultimatum. I'm at a loss. Was my request really so unreasonable? Yes. Is there even a way to salvage this? No. I need some help. Maybe anyone has an idea how to approach this issue without my girlfriend going into an ultimatum mode. Edit. Since everyone is bringing up my past mistakes and previous posts, yes, I know I was wrong for this, but we were supposed to work this out in therapy. I thought we were on the relationship advice, and this sub was about, well, advice. Oh, he's posted in like 3 different places. Why is everyone choosing to ignore the issue stated in this post? Edit. Asking here was a mistake. I will have fun reporting your private messages to me for harassment. Edit. Well, I don't know who did this or why, but someone not only found me on Facebook, but also went through my profile, I guess, to find my girlfriend and linked her to my Reddit. Oh, shit. I'm so happy. I've never been so elated reading a Reddit story. Yeah, not to this post, but my whole account and my previous post. Do you feel better now? Are you going to sleep better? I hope you're proud of yourself for ruining our relationship and probably making me homeless. Good thing is I don't have to do therapy anymore since she's not going to pay for it anymore. A key original OP comment here. But if she breaks up with me, I will become homeless since I'm not working currently and can't afford rent for now. As I said, it's way more complicated. I can move back to my parents' place, but they're not rich, so I would probably need to drop out from uni to work full-time until I save some money. My whole life will crumble, not just our relationship. I am so happy that she got to see the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain extent of your total bullshit. Wow. So thankful. How can someone be so oblivious? Professional victim. Yeah. And still can't accept responsibility. Still now. I hope you're happy you ruined our relationship. Still can't accept that he's the one in the wrong. This boy is gonna leech onto someone else, then someone else, then someone else, then someone else. But it's never going to work because he has no accountability whatsoever. None. But oh my gosh, to be a fly on the wall whenever she received that message and started reading posts. Oh, I would have been so happy to be there watching this whole thing go down and her just be like, okay, yeah, he's exactly the piece of shit I thought he was. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITAH, but the H is silent. It's not, really. And is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Asking a Wedding Guest to Leave and Stay Out of My Way? I, 40 female, am a wedding photographer. Okay, not sure how we feel about this. It's not OP's wedding. Okay. To start, this story is a bit long, but let me give you some background. When I book a wedding, I make it very clear to the bride, we'll call her Amber, 19, and groom, let's call him Sam, 19. These rules apply with their permission. No phones allowed in the ceremony. If there are any photos they want private, please let me know. This is the couple's decision. I will not hold back to tell people to put their phones down or to not step in front of me with the couple's permission. I knew within the first 50 minutes of guests arriving, including the groom's mother, let's call her Susan, and the bride's aunt, let's call her Karen, for good reason, that this would be a long day. During the ceremony, as Amber was walking down the aisle, Susan decided she wanted to place herself so close to the aisleway that as I am trying to capture Sam's face, I did my best to work around her without actually placing myself in the aisle. Thankfully, as I have begun editing, I think I will be able to edit and possibly remove her from the photo. Thank God for Photoshop. This was only the beginning of her being in my way. The rest of the ceremony went beautifully. After the ceremony ended, everyone was asked to move to the reception hall so we could continue on with taking photos. After all the basics, family and wedding party photos, I asked everyone besides Amber and Sam to head out so we could get their solo and couple shots done. The session was one of the ones that they had requested to stay private. I made sure the room was empty before we began. We started with a beautiful shot of Amanda propped on the piano and Sam standing beside her. As I was posing them, I saw Karen at the front door with her phone out recording. I sighed, took a deep breath, and turned to her. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I need you to leave the room. These photos are for the bride and groom only, and per their request, they don't want anyone recording or taking photos besides me. She huffed a bit, rolled her eyes, and had put her phone away, and then headed back to the reception. After this, cue us heading outside to get photos of them under the beautiful arches and large wooden French doors. As I begin posing Amanda in front of the big doors, here comes Susan. Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, she said. Thank you, but please go inside. This is a private session, I said politely. I'm just watching, she retorted. I tried to hold in my bitch look face and smiled. I understand, but this was a request by the bride and your son to keep things private, I said. Please go inside. I can't begin until you go, I said. Again, the huffy sigh, and I swear the tiny foot stopped before she headed inside. You would think that this would be where it ends, but it doesn't. Now we get to the part where I think I might be the asshole. During the father-daughter dance, here comes Karen with her phone to record the entire thing. Over my shoulder. I don't care if guests take photos or videos of these moments, and neither did Amanda or Sam, but she was directly over my shoulder and occasionally stepping in front of me to get close up. I took a deep breath and tried to take the red I was seeing to a light pink before I turned around to her. Ma'am, Amanda and Sam have paid me to do this job. I need you to stay out of my way or I'm going to have to ask you to go sit down. I cannot capture these moments if you are constantly in my way and interrupting, I said, probably with a bit of sass. I'm family, she said. I get that, but this is my job and you're interfering with it. Now please step aside or go sit down, I snapped. Yes, snapped. Snapped so hard I'm pretty sure she got whiplash. Word whiplash. So yes, I did my best to be professional, but I have had enough. I worry I may have been too rude, and the way her and her entire table glared at me for the rest of the night, I worry I may not have handled this the right way. So, am I the ass-cannot? I have an opinion on this, but I want to know what you guys think first. Magic drop. Yeah, this is why wedding photographers charge so much, because they got to deal with this kind of bullshit. This is also why I don't shoot weddings. But it's an NTA for me, and I can tell you, maybe not from experience, but I can tell you in my professional experience and professional dealings with other photographers that the ones who take charge are the good ones. The ones who take charge are the ones that the bride and groom can trust. And as the bride and groom, as the customers of this thing, having someone that they know can trust and handle all the bullshit that they don't want to have to deal with on their special day is worth a premium. If as a wedding photographer, she just let all of this shit happen and collapse around her, it would have harmed the essence of the images and the scenes that she was capturing. It would have tainted them. It would not have been the pure thing that bride and groom were looking for. Now, here's the shitty part. I'm guessing Mama A or Mama B probably paid for at least a portion of these wedding photos. So that is probably some kind of bitch exhibit A as they're talking to bride and groom and super mad about this. I'm probably leaving a shitty Google review. So just be aware, OP. But also be aware that When someone leaves a negative review, how you respond to that matters more than the review itself. So I think if you gave a simple explanation, other people who are prospective clients seeing that would be like, oh yeah, totally. I want this person to do this kind of thing for me. And they know. They know. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder once again with another Reddit story for you from, this time, Best of Redditor Updates. Hell yeah. And it is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Telling My Sister That She Shouldn't Overvalue Herself and Prepare for the Worst? Originally posted April 6th, 2024. I, 21 female, have an older sister, Eve, 29 female, who had her first child, Lori, 1 female. And while this should be a time of joy and excitement, there's actually a lot of tension and brewing resentment between her, our mom, and her husband, Jack, 29 male. Despite it being unplanned, Eve's pregnancy was wanted, and Jack was an involved partner. He went to most of Eve's appointments, took the birthing classes, and supported Eve's decision to just have our mom in the room while he waited outside when she gave birth. The plan was for our mom to be by Eve's side in the room and to help stay for a week after Lori was born. Everyone was cool with this, but unfortunately our aunt got into some drama with her husband in another state, and mom rushed over to be at her sister's side. Eve was already in her 3rd trimester, so Jack didn't like the idea of our mom going and voiced it. Our mom tore Jack a new one, and Eve even got on his case about it, so he apologized. However, Eve ended up going into labor, and Jack ultimately was the one in the room while our mom was away. When she called, our mom expressed being sad over not being there for the birth of her first grandchild, and she and Eve decided that no one else in the family would see Lori until she got back, without discussing it with Jack. He was understandably not happy, as his mom lived about 45 minutes away and was looking forward to meeting Lori too, as she was the first grandchild on both sides. Eve pulled the "I just gave birth" card, and Jack reluctantly allowed it. On the day that her mom was supposed to come back, she missed her flight and couldn't get a new one until the following morning. Our mom could have just rented a car, but she didn't want to spend the money since the airline wouldn't refund the money. Jack brought up allowing his mom to come again, but Eve refused, citing that he had already agreed. Unfortunately, Jack's mom was in a car accident and passed before ever getting to meet Lori, since Eve wouldn't even allow a video chat. What the f*** is happening? Jack was distraught. He moved to the guest bedroom, went to the funeral alone, and refuses to engage with Eve at all. Jack's side of the family keeps calling and messaging Eve to tell her what a selfish and awful person she is, and Jack refuses to defend. Eventually, Eve got sick of it and packed up and left to her mom's house to teach Jack a lesson, but he hasn't texted or called. Our mom thinks that he just needs some space and that he'll call soon, but I just laughed at that. Didn't mean to, though. My mom and Eve asked me why I laughed, and I tried to brush it off or even leave, but they wouldn't let me and pressed for an answer. Eventually, I told her that while the accident wasn't her fault, she did keep Lori away from Jack's mom meeting her for a week, and now she never will. There's no way Jack is ever going to love you enough to forgive that, and that you should prepare for the worst. Eve started to bawl her eyes out while mom berated me, so I left. Am I the astronaut? We were wrong. Edit, just to clarify, because I keep seeing this when the accident first happened, Eve has apologized 3 separate times. Jack has admitted to this, and Eve intended to go to the funeral with him, but he drove off without her. Jack does interact with Lori. It's Eve that he's icing out, and my niece is the only thing he's willing to talk to Eve about. Jack had been living in the guest room for 5 months before Eve left. She's offered to go to couples counseling, but Jack has refused. Relevant comments here. What's up with your aunt? Or what was up with your aunt? Original OP, to be fair, it wasn't a small thing. My aunt's husband was revealed to be cheating and used her personal information to take out credit cards in her name to pay for his side piece. Classic. Plus the potential danger of her own health. Commenter downvoted YTA. You are completely right, but you're an asshole to mention it. Why rub it in and cause drama? You should have kept silent, and staying out of it would have been the reasonable option. They needed someone to blame. Why offer yourself up for that? I can understand this. I can understand the sentiment behind this statement. However, I think someone in your world needs to be a reality check for you, a gut check. And OP, if you're willing to take up that mantle and to receive the eye of Sauron for speaking up, then by all means. Original P responds, I tried to brush it off and walk away, but they physically stood in front of my way and demanded an answer. And then you're like, damn, if I could just keep that chuckle inside. Commenter, if she's still bad-mouthing him, she obviously didn't mean it, the apology, with an understanding of what exactly she did wrong. Hope Jake is well supported by his family and can see his daughters soon. Original P's response, Eve hasn't bad-mouthed him, at least to me, since his mom's accident, but she is frustrated that he's no longer affectionate and doesn't engage with her like before. Frustrated because she doesn't understand? Commenter, downvoted. YTA, sorry, but are you married? A parent? In love? In a relationship? No? Then maybe put a cork in it. Why would you say something like that? It was incredibly vindictive and nasty. She is a new mother going through ish, and you could have been compassionate, even civil. You laughing at someone's misfortunes, much less your sister, says a lot about your character. Her husband may never forgive her, but that's not on her. To be honest, it would be hard to forgive you for kicking her when she was down, so there's that. Original OP's response, married? No. Parent? No. In love? Yeah. Relationship? Also, yeah. And please read the post again. Lori is now a year old and Jack's mom died when she was less than 3 weeks old. This had been an ongoing issue with months, and I tried not to say anything and even walk away in order to be civil, but my mom and sister kept pressing me for an answer. Commenter, part of a longer comment, why didn't Jack just let his mother come anyway? I'm amazed he put up with all that bullshit, but it sounds like a treasure of a husband, and Eve really screwed herself by treating him and his family like that. Original OP's response, because it was just supposed to be 1 week. No one saw this accident coming, and Jack didn't want to stress out my sister, who had just given birth. He was trying to respect her wishes and got screwed over because of it. Commenter, the fact that your sister wouldn't even allow a FaceTime, that's some pretty ridiculous, petty bullshit. She deserves to be a struggling single mom for that choice. I wouldn't blame Jack for being the type of co-parent who will only co-parent through a phone app, JFC. OP's response, yeah, I think her being pregnant made her lose touch with reality and logic a little bit. She's usually understanding and reasonable. Eve's apologies, mom's apologies. Original OP, from what she told me, it was I'm sorry I did X the first time. And then, I'm sorry, but I didn't know that Y would happen. And then, I'm sorry, but we can. OP, my mom did reach out to give her condolences for Jack's mom's passing, but I don't know if she apologized for insisting on being the first grandparent to see the baby. Also, I know that Eve apologized at least 3 separate times, but it could have been more. I honestly don't know. Holy God, there's an update. There's an update. Hubby here played along to not freaking make waves, right? But it was absolute bullshit what his wife and her mother conspired to do here. It's not just her child, but she behaved like it is just her child, right? Like, no doubt inspired by mommy dearest here, ran the show. If you have shit that you have to leave for, you no longer get to make the call. And probably she shouldn't have been able to make the call anyway. It's not mom's call. It should be the two of them together. You know, the partners that created this baby. But no, wifey put herself in this mess. And I wouldn't feel bad if that were my sibling, calling them to the carpet on it. Yeah, it sucks to be exposed for doing stupid shit. When people get exposed, they get pissed off. Sometimes they need to get exposed to understand how bad they screwed up. Here is the update, posted June 2nd, 2024, almost 2 months later. Hey, it's been a couple of weeks, and due to people still occasionally asking, I thought I'd give some quick updates to the situation. Here are the basic bullet points. My sister has now been officially diagnosed with postpartum depression, and that is the trump card or Hail Mary of the situation. My sister and her husband are living together again and in couples therapy. My sister is in individual counseling. My niece has now been officially introduced to a few members of her paternal side, and they all love her. Jack's family have ceased their negative comments about my sister, but she says that they're still pretty formal and distant towards her. I honestly don't know if she'll ever be in their good graces again, and will only put up with her for my brother-in-law and niece's sake. My niece's name, first and middle, is going to be legally changed to whatever Jack wants. For the next 5 years, whoa, hold up. What was it? For the next 5 years, brother-in-law's side of the family is getting priority when it comes to any and all holidays. My mom will be on a strict info diet when it comes to the baby. No pictures unless Jack approves. This is all I know for right now, and my mom is not happy with any of this and is calling Jack a controlling asshole. It's like looking in a mirror. But my sister is holding firm in an effort to save her marriage. She claims that brother-in-law and she are making progress in counseling, and I hope for her sake that it's true. It's going to suck not being able to see my niece as much as I wanted for the next possible few years, but compared to never being able to see her at all, like Jack's mom, it is what it is. I know a lot of you may not be happy with this update, but it is what it is for now. Relevant comments, original OP's thoughts. I won't deny that Jack is taking full advantage of Eve's willingness to do whatever it takes to save the marriage, but Jack has never come off as a controlling person in the past. I mean, he didn't put up any opposition to Eve's requests or demands since finding out that she was pregnant. But Eve has a support system if she feels like it's getting to be too much. I'm not going to get involved until I suspect violence. To a different commenter, I won't deny that Jack is taking advantage of the situation. He's hurt and angry and very resentful. He laid out his terms and Eve is agreeing to them. Plus, they're in counseling. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. Another commenter here, it doesn't read to me that OP is being restricted. OP is free to visit their niece. Jack's family just gets priority for holidays, and it seems like OP's family assumed that they would get majority of them, hence won't see kid as often as I'd like to. Original OP's response, yes, it's just the holidays for our side of the family. Right now, I could drive up to see my niece so long as I call first. Commenter, what's the issue with the baby's name? Was Jack railroaded over that as well? Hey, we get to find out. Original OP, from my understanding, Eve got pick of the first name, and Jack got to pick the middle name from a list of names that Eve had, and my niece took Jack's surname. To a different commenter, to appease Jack, he didn't really get much of a say over naming the baby. My sister really played the whole "I'm the one carrying the baby" card. Commenter, I don't get why your contact with your niece has to be limited. I'm not sure the marriage will last anyway with these conditions. OP, right now it seems like Eve is just doing whatever it takes, whatever she has to do to keep Jack from leaving her, as well as getting back on Jack's family's good side. Commenter, I don't know how to feel about this. Changing the baby's name after a year to whatever the husband wants. Priority for holidays for 5 years. No pictures for your mom unless Jack approves of it. This seems like jumping from the frying pan directly into the fire. If these are the terms set up by Jack in order to save the marriage, one, I doubt the marriage counselor knows about these specific ones I mentioned, and two, is it even worth saving? Your sister has no autonomy over their child, no autonomy over her schedule, no ability to share a photo with her mother. You have limited contact with your niece. Who really won here other than Jack and his family, who might someday be nice to your sister? You think Jack's family won? Yes, your sister was wrong in the original post. Of course she was, but not one thing on this list can change what happened. Not one. And this part of the list sounds like they could lead up to some DV situations in the future on Jack's part. Isolation from support systems is one of those factors. I don't think it's isolation from support systems, but I see the point here. It could be a step in a direction that could potentially lead to that. I don't get the vibe from it right now, but that doesn't matter. Original OP, Jack's mom suddenly passed away and she was a loving and sweet person. I wouldn't exactly call it a win. Also, from what Eve has told me, it's not isolation so much as strict boundaries. Eve said that these restrictions were only for the baby and that she's still able to have regular contact with whoever she wants. How I hope this would play out in a therapy session would be a, party, antagonist party, whatever you refer to it there. But in this case, it would be OP's sister. So mama, what would you be willing to do to try to make amends for this? And I would hope that these things that are happening are things that she offered up, not things he asked for. I would hope so. I would if these are things that he is asking for and enforcing, maybe it's a pendulum swing too far in the opposite direction. If these are things that she came up with as I would be willing to do this to make up for this, then that's a different story, right? Dr. Sweets, again, it sounds like these conditions, is to build trust. I don't think Jack will keep them long term. I would agree. I'm hoping that she came up with these though. Commenter. Yikes! What a hard overcorrection. I can't imagine them ever getting back on the right footing again after this. Eve will lose herself with guilt and trying to keep the family together, and Jack will lose himself in trying to forgive, but also punish Eve for what he lost. At that point, it's not two people in love. It's just two people filled with resentment and trying to make it work. Unless she came up with these behavior changes. Unless this was her idea. That does change it, does it not? OP's response, or going to couples counseling, is all I can respond with. We'll see what happens. Commenter, OP sounds disgusting too. Calling PPD a card sister will play. Shame on you, OP. Original OP response here. I refer to it as a card because of how my sister is using her diagnosis with Jack. She literally said, he can't be angry with me. I have PPD. In response to someone asking if she really has it, no, it's real. And I do believe her because her personality did change the further she got into her pregnancy. It's just the way with my sister is using her diagnosis that made me word it the way that I did. She's very, he can't stay angry with me when I have PPD, and he has to forgive me. I'm not mentally well. Commenter, is the postpartum diagnosis what made him be willing to work it out? Not sure how that was connected to what she did. OP, I mean, he wasn't open to couples counseling before the official diagnosis. Okay. So there's like a potential reason for it, and then he started moving that direction. I think this all comes down to, like, is it an overcorrection? Probably, unless she came up with this. I mean, this is a shitty situation, that's for damn sure. The only thing that I can hope here are that these are conditions she came up with in an effort to move in the right direction or to make amends, and he accepted. Is he wrong for accepting? Maybe. But I hope they work these out in therapy together. I hope they mutually agreed upon them, and I would hope that in this situation that the question was asked of her to come up with something she would be willing to do instead of asking someone what you would force the other person to do to get back in your good graces. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's wild. It's not. So the question was, am I the astronaut for telling my sister that she shouldn't overvalue herself and prepare for the worst, which was way back before like the current news that we're getting and all of this. And no, she wasn't the asshole for that. And maybe it was that comment that led to her willingness to come up with things that she would be able to do to work in that direction. And maybe they agreed on them. Maybe she presented them and they agreed upon them in counseling, which would be great. It still might be going too far, but I hope, like Dr. Sweet said, I hope this isn't going to be something that's upheld very long. The fact that she's willing to do it and like moves forward with it is a huge show of trust. And that would be an immediate kind of relaxing on there. And you also have to remember here that mother-in-law, the one who's still living, is a controlling manipulator. So it's not just about not sending pictures there. It's also about like hedging against manipulation. Goodness. Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder again with another Reddit story for you. This one comes from AITAH and is titled, Am I the astronaut for not dragging my niece on a 6-hour drive every weekend to see her mom, my sister? My 47 male sister, 38 female, went to prison for tax fraud. She failed to report income from her MLM over the course of 8 years, almost $400,000 in gross sales. She's going to be gone for 12 years minimum. As a result, I took her daughter, my niece, 14 female, into my home, so she wouldn't end up in foster care. Dad is not in the picture. I've been raising my niece for almost 2 years now. I treat her the same as I treat my own 5 kids. She's well-fed, sees any doctor she needs to, and she attends the same private school that my own children do, all on my dime. Recently, my sister was approved for a transfer so she could be closer to the family. The prison she was moved to is a 6-hour drive from my house. Previously, we had to fly to go see her. When my sister was not in driving distance, I would fly my niece out to see her mom once a month. We would spend the weekend out there and visit her for 3 hours on both weekend days. The rest of the weekend was filled out with my niece and I checking out the local food and culture. Well, now that my sister is in a closer prison, she expects us to come see her every weekend. Not only would that require me to spend 12 hours a week driving round trip, but my niece would have to give up most of her social life to visit her mom in prison. I was reluctant, but ultimately willing to give up that much of my time. The thing is, my niece doesn't want to go every weekend. She wants to spend her weekend socializing with her friends, going on dates, seeing concerts, and generally being a teenager. She is 100% okay with keeping up the 1 weekend a month visitation. I told my sister this, and she flipped her shit. She claims that I am alienating her from her daughter and turning her daughter against her because I'm too lazy to drive my niece out there every weekend. Yesterday, we went in for our monthly visit, and my sister refused my visit. She only wanted to see her daughter, but the prison does not allow minors to visit without an adult. So ultimately, she did not get to see her daughter yesterday. It's 6 a.m. I'm sitting awake in a hotel room while my niece is sleeping. I'm wondering if it's even worth it to go back to the prison when visiting hours open up. I've got cousins, aunts, and uncles messaging me that I shouldn't try to keep her away from her daughter, but that's the opposite of what I'm doing. top comment here, every weekend is not realistic, even for you. You still have 5 kids who will miss out on time with you. I get wanting to see her daughter, but at some point it feels like punishment for your niece. If she doesn't want to go, but is being forced to. It's like she's also being made to serve a bit of her mother's time. Interesting. Plus, she hasn't completely refused to go. She's still up for the 1 weekend a month. Forcing more on her will make her resentful of all of you. She shouldn't be forced. Okay, so the question was, am I the astronaut for not dragging my niece on a 6-hour drive every weekend to see her mom, my sister, NTA? Absolutely. However, this was not what I expected it to be. I don't know about all you, but this was, OP here has gone above and beyond. Way above and way beyond. And maybe that's why sister has an expectation for even more because OP's gone way above and beyond. And I understand that per sister's worldview right now is completely different, right? Because she's stuck and probably just counting the hours till the next time she gets to see her daughter. I understand that that's tough. I understand that must be a terrible thing to have to go through. But you also have to have some realistic expectations. And you also have to be grateful that someone is giving your daughter the ability to have a fruitful life right now. Quit trying to punish everyone. Instead of being grateful and respectful of someone going way above and way beyond, she's in prison acting entitled. OP in your shoes, I would be like, look, bitch. No, don't say that. Just look. I have done way more than anyone else on this planet was willing to do to give your daughter the ability to have a better life while you're still in here. I've brought her once a month, flown her out once a month, and now I'm going to keep bringing her once a month, but I'm going to be driving instead of flying. If you don't set the record straight and correct the information that you have provided to all of these family members saying I'm keeping her away from you, we'll start going once a quarter. We'll start going once every other month. I mean, if that's what she wants to do, it's all up to her. None of this was my decision. Your daughter doesn't want to come every weekend. But of course, you don't believe that. Why doesn't the daughter jump in and tell her? She's 14 now. She's old enough to speak up and be like, yo, that was my choice. Hey there, it is Dusty Thunder with another Reddit story for you, and this one comes from AITAH and is titled, My Long-Term Partner's Side Piece Showed Up at My Door with Their Baby. Am I the astronaut for kicking her out even though she is basically homeless? My husband and I, 40 female and 41 male, have been together for 10 years, and I consider them years to be very loving and happy, but apparently not for him, since he had a side piece, obviously. I make furniture and make around £1 million a year. My husband is a teacher. It goes without saying that I provide for us. I don't ask what he does with his salary. We live way below our means, however, because we are both minimalists, but we have a big house, nice cars, and lots of art. Everything is mine, however. Apparently, he met his side piece, female 25, under false pretenses and told her that we were legally married, so he owned half of my company and everything else I own. When she got pregnant, he started spending his salary on her. I wasn't alarmed because I didn't know what he did with his money. Now he is in Dubai on vacation and her lease on her apartment expired, so she just showed up at my door with her baby. She told me she was his girlfriend and that he was getting a divorce, so she might as well live in his house and I could live in a hotel because I could afford it. She didn't have any money or home. She literally refused to step out, so I called the police and locked myself in the greenhouse. When the police came, she was literally unpacking the child's clothes in the living area. They escorted her out. I was very shaken. Later, I found out all the details I included above. My husband's mother thought I was an asshole for kicking out a little baby on the streets. That was her only grandson. I used and abused my money and power to control everything around me. But honestly, teachers make $60K a year, so if, as I found out later, he gave her his salary, I can't understand why she would be so homeless and destitute. She had big designer bags, designer stroller, and these Van Cleef & Arpels jewelry when she showed up to my home. Van Cleef & Arpels? Is that a thing? I don't know. But now, I'm the asshole? Before we dive into an update here, let's talk about this for a second. Why didn't she take them in? I think the taking them in by the girlfriend was not presented as take us in. It was presented as he's going to divorce your ass and this is his house so you can get out, bish. I think that's how it was presented. So she told them to get the out. It's not like she said that to the baby and her. She just said it to her. So it wasn't a take us in. And I don't think that was even an option at a time to either one of them. Girlfriend thought she was going to come over and take over the home, but it was much more conflict rich because of the way girlfriend showed up and presented it. It's too bougie for me. I don't know shit. All right, let's dive into the update. Here is the update. Many are asking for an update, but what's really there to update? Here's what's happened in the past week and what is going to happen. Snap. I will never see him again. It is over. He is back from his trip. Probably he wasn't expecting to start his summer vacation this way. My lawyer has already contacted him about what he's owed. It will be transported to his mother's apartment. Whatever more he thinks he is owed, he can sue me and I will be ready, and I hope he can afford my lawyers when he loses whatever lawsuit he plans to file. Apparently, the apartment that his girlfriend lost was his. He was sending her money for the rent, but she spent it on Prada instead. He swears that the baby isn't his and that he is going to demand a paternity test like it would make any difference. Maybe for the baby, yeah. I hope to God that the child isn't his. However, so maybe there is still a small chance for that baby to have a better future and more loving parents. I am moving in with my parents. Right now, I am in a hotel, but I have no desire to be in that house again with all those memories. I'm selling it and I'll find a new home and I'll sell this one and I'll just live with my family. The girlfriend has contacted me a few times via social media because she needs to talk. She wants proof that we aren't married because he told her that we are married. I don't do delusion, so I just blocked her. She has tried to contact me via her friends and mine, so now everyone knows the truth without me needing to make an announcement. Thank you, girlfriend. Not sure what more to update. If I have missed anything, I will leave it in the comments. One last thing, I'm sorry for maybe using the wrong terms. I'm not an English speaker, and Google found me common law marriage as the term used in my situation. But apparently, it has its certain laws in English-speaking countries. Our relationship is a long-term, and we live together. We have separate economy. We have no rights to each other's property or estate. We don't even inherit each other without a will. However, anything we purchased during the time we were living together falls under joint estate and is divided equally no matter who the purchaser is. I have no problems dividing these assets in half. I bought our house and some of my expensive art during the time we have been partners, and it would have been joint assets if we didn't have a cohabitation agreement in place around these expensive purchases. He has no rights to them. Oh, girlfriend showing up being like, bitch, this house is mine is wrong. Unlike prenups, etc., they are not as easy to contest because he is not legally married to me. Under different circumstances, I probably would have given him more than what he is going to get now because I'm like that in general. If he had ended things, if he told me he wanted out and didn't love me anymore, because I know that relationships end and people fall out of love. He could have respected me enough to give me at least that, but he didn't. So I will literally be counting spoons and napkins and he will not get a dime over what he is owed. Way to go, OP. Hey, yeah. Nice. That's the way to do it. I mean, look, I don't understand why people cheat. I don't understand. Here's the deal. If you want to be with somebody, be with somebody. If you don't want to be with them, don't be with them. It's my same philosophy on jealousy. I don't do jealousy anymore because if Candy Thunder wants to be with me, she'll be with me. And if she doesn't, she won't. And her behavior will prove it either way. He didn't want to be with you. His behavior proved it in the most cowardly way possible. And his whole thing coming unraveled because she showed up at your doorstep, OP. Like, oh shit. His whole plan just backfired here. And it's hilarious. Hilarious. But what if bro's a coward? Like, just be man enough to be like, hey, I don't love you anymore. He was just enjoying the lavish life or the lavish house or whatever that her income was able to provide. That's it. Cool. No, not cool. Not cool. Like, have enough respect for someone to be straightforward with them. Have enough respect to tell them that you're not in it anymore. Have enough respect for yourself to not live half of your life as a lie. That is a disease that will hollow you out over time. It is not worth it, bro. Zo. Not worth it. And now you're in a big, steaming, flaming shit pile because your deceit, reared its ugly head where it wasn't supposed to. Ruh-roh. Hey, Dusty Thunder here, and I wanted to thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed that content, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and most importantly, share. Also, you can find swag and so much more at dusty-thunder.com, and you'll find even more content on all of our platforms. We're on TikTok, YouTube. We now have an official Facebook page that we'll be posting stories to as well. We have podcasts on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and so much more. You can see all of our content platforms on Linktree, which is linked in my bio. Engage with us wherever you're enjoying content, and do your best to avoid the Askonauts today. Thanks again.